Hi guys, it's Amy with Aim to Plan, and today we are setting up my goals planner for May. So there is a part 1 to this planner where I talked through how I was planning to set it up. This video is actually the setup of this planner. I have decided to basically start a brand new goals planner. And so definitely check out my previous video if you are interested in just kind of hearing my thought process for what I will be doing. For this video though, I am going to be setting it up. Now, as I mentioned in the previous video, again, I think watching that might be clarifying for just like my thoughts and like how I'm planning to set this up. But I talked about in at the end of that video how I was going to talk to my family and just get their feedback for the different types of goals that we want to set up for this month. My goal is really to get them involved in this. This is not just my goals, it is the goal for the entire family, right? Like I'm wanting this planner to be something that goes into our family binder, like our home binder, and is part of the household management. And as I mentioned in that previous video, this is really inspired by the parenting layout, where we're able to do things like meal prep, meal plan for family events, have to-dos for the family, bills for the family, things like that, and also goals for the family. So with that being said, then this will be pretty much a straightforward setup. Again, I do explain it in that video, what I'm planning to do. I just wanted to at least show you visually how this is gonna work. Actually, I'm gonna go ahead and pull some stickers too. I feel like otherwise it will just be pen to paper. So let's make it pretty, and help designate some of these different areas. I did start off, as you can see, with whiting out this planner. I am using a Colorblock layout for this, just to be able to set it up, because I think this will work as a generally as a monthly planner. So we'll talk about that. Let me go ahead and grab some stickers though. Okay, I kept it very simple actually. I was initially planning for this to be a very functional video, so I just grabbed a couple of boxes and then I grabbed some quotes. So let me go ahead and also get a pen so that way we can set this up. I will zoom in a little bit so that way you can see a little bit more clearly what I am going to be writing here. But let me grab, I think I'm going to use this one. It's a glitter brush pen from Edding. I am getting into the groove of like Go Wild planning too. That's a separate video, but want to use my supplies here. And I am going to go ahead and, just kind of talk you through most of this. This is, I think at least going to be fairly basic. Actually, I'm going to grab, this is pink. Let me grab my black. This is red. I've got so many pens right here. Okay, here we go. I'm gonna grab a black permanent marker as well, just because I think this will help to show you what I'm looking at. So I mentioned this in the first part of this video, but I'm gonna go ahead and talk through some of the major pieces of setup here. I am going to be using this particular Colorblock layout as a full monthly layout. The difference here is instead of using the monthly spread, I'm basically turning it sideways. So if it were like this, right, this could be like, for example, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, or Sunday start and go through Saturday. This planner does have 7 blocks. Some of the Colorblock layouts from the Happy Planner has only 6 blocks. Actually, I think there might be even one planner that only has 5 blocks. But because I have 7, I'm going to choose 7 different categories of goals. And then what I'm going to do is, instead of having the weeks go like week 1, week 2, week 3, I'm going to have it be week 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like that. And so actually that's what I'm going to start off with. I'm realizing I forgot to white out one other part of this. So we're going to get rid of the days of the week as well. So I don't need that part of it. Definitely I could have just used washi tape or something else to cover it up, but again, trying to keep it fairly functional. What we're going to do here is just mark it like this. I'm going to use the Sharpie and just write directly over it, and I'm going to put week 1, and then we'll do week 2, week 3, week 4, and week 5. Okay, so step 1 done. Now, the other component of this is creating the categories for my different goals. What I've decided to do for May, just to keep it super simple, and again, as I mentioned in the previous, the part one of this video, of setting up the goals, I am being inspired by the Happy Planner parenting layout, the brand new layout. And so what I'm going to do then is, because I'm inspired by that particular layout, I'm going to go ahead and use the 7 goals that came from that parenting layout. Now, these goals are in the parenting layout. They are right after the monthly spread, before the weekly spreads. So there's a page in the parenting layout that essentially has, like, on the left hand side, it has like basically 7 goals, and it says these are 7 goals that you just can journal about. I'm just adapting those 7 goals for my purpose, but I'm using those 7 categories. And so those 7 categories are, and I'm going to write them right here. The first one is family. I'm going to write it just like this. The next one is friends. Then we have home, work, health, fun, and finances. Now, as I mentioned, I did talk to my family. They are not big planners in the sense of, like, doing the same things that I do. And so they gave me some input, but it was definitely not a ton of input. So, I will adapt it and basically develop plans for the family on my own with some input from them. I'm just evening this out because I feel like that one was particularly crooked, writing over the whiteout. Okay, and so my goals then are fairly straightforward. I do want to try to do monthly goals. And so my goal here is not to have a goal for every single week for family, right? I don't want 5 weekly goals for family. I do want at least one single, like, monthly goal. Now, if I have more than one goal, that's totally fine. But my goal, my thinking here is just a single monthly goal, and I'm just tracking how it performs, or like what I do for that particular goal across the month. So I'll give you an example as we go through. Some of them will be a little bit easier in my mind than others, but we'll talk about all of them. Okay, so after I do this, we're going to talk about the 7 goals, monthly goals that we, the family, have kind of talked about for ourselves. Okay, so again, these are family goals. They're not my individual goals, but if you're wanting to do this for yourself, absolutely, you can do that. Just use the categories, but it will be just your own individual goals and not family goals. But I just thought I wanted to do family goals. Okay. All right, I'm done playing with it. All right, I forgot I have stickers too, so we'll play with that too. All right, so for these goals, what I want to do is basically just write out, and I'm just going to, I think I'm just going to write them here in week 1 and just see how they kind of track across the entire month. So I'm going to grab another pen. Actually, I'm going to use this pen. Right, now for my family, my goal here for family is to be able to engage in more screen-free time. So that's the goal. Right, I wrote it right here, screen-free time together. I might change it across the month, so if that one I feel like we're achieving and doing well with that, and it's turned into a little bit of a habit and a routine, then we can move to a new goal. But I want that goal to be the goal for the entire week. I can use, or the entire month, and so I can just write it again, or I can, essentially just delay it from week to week. This particular goal I feel like would work for all 5 weeks, and so I could just literally just write it 5 times, but I'm okay with just leaving it like this and just putting an arrow across the entire month as well. So that is just one example, and again, my goal here is a monthly goal. I'm not thinking about trying to set a different goal for every single week. Absolutely, you can do that. I've seen some goal planners who do monthly goals, weekly goals, and daily goals. I just find that might be overwhelming for me personally to keep track of that for my family. So we're just going to list the one, screen-free time together. For us, I might put ideas here, but it could be things like, you know, having a game night every week where we just like have game night and, you know, stay off our phones, right? So that would be an example of that. I would just kind of journal and log those things in these boxes. That's kind of what I was thinking. Now for friends, this is very interesting. Again, I asked Sophia what her thoughts were, and her very first goal, that, like before I even told her the categories, was I want to spend more times or more get a play date with my friends. And so I'm going to write that down for her. All right, play dates with friends. I would also include Rosie in this, where she could have play dates with her friends as well, but we do also have lots of cousins in our family, and so for Rosie and for Sophia both, if they're having play dates with their cousins, I do count that as play dates with their friends. And so I again can use the remaining week 1, week 2, week 3, you know, I'll journal around to this one, but definitely for the remaining 4 weeks I can just log anything that we did that's related to play dates. So that's kind of where we are. For home, the big one for our family right now is decluttering. For May, for sure, I want to declutter. There's a specific area, which is the planner closet. This is definitely my goal personally, but my husband has actually told me like I need to clean that area, so I'm gonna put that down. For work, I actually put work here, but we really want the goal to be, again, just a family goal. And so here for work, I actually asked Sophia about like her school goal, and she and I talked about this, and we want to make sure that she's finishing out the school year strong and just like staying focused with her homework. And so that's going to be the goal for work/school. We really want her to develop better study habits. She tends to get distracted very easily, doesn't want to do her homework, procrastinates, that type of thing. And so all of those things will be things that we can kind of talk about and journal about in these remaining weeks. Now for health, this is one that we have tried before, and I want to re-implement this. This is one that's coming straight from me, not something that we discussed with the family, but we used to, as a family, go on walks in our neighborhood. And so I want to re-implement that, just being able to get outside, to walk, and just enjoy our neighborhood. That's a goal that I definitely want. And of course, there's a health benefit for that. So I'm going to add that for May. All right, and again, we can journal about it, just make note of like maybe weather and some other things that occur in the week. All right, and then here for fun, one of our big goals is to celebrate or not celebrate, but like enjoy Go Wild. So we are going as a family, and so that one was a very easy one. And I mentioned in my Go Wild videos how, of course, I'll be at Go Wild. I also do have to work a little bit, but there is plenty of time for us to do fun things in the breaks, or I could skip sessions and just do things with my family. And so it's not just Go Wild the conference, but just being in Indianapolis and just enjoying the city, right? And then finally we have finances. For us as a family, one of our goals is to work on just like reducing our debt. And you know, I won't get into the details of like debt, different types of debt, but like we definitely want to reduce our debt. And so our goal in May for my husband and I is really just to be able to focus on reducing debt. Now, this is kind of funny that I'm writing this in here because, and I'll put family debt, of course, that's what we're talking about here. This is kind of funny because one of the things that I was really considering here for finances is working in May with Sophia to get her to learn how to save a little bit more. But I'm going to use this one for May. In June, if this continues to work out well, I'm going to update it and use the summer to try to teach Sophia some better study, or not study, but like financial habits, because she likes to, as soon as she gets $1, she likes to spend the dollar, you know? So, all right, I've listed it like that, and I took out this editing pen, but I didn't actually use it. So we're going to leave that then, and we're going to add a couple of boxes. Now, these boxes really are just to, I'm just thinking to highlight some important things, like this one right here, Go Wild, is occurring in week 3. So that to me makes sense. And then this side right here, I'm not really using for any particular thing. So I'm just going to add a couple of stickers here just to get it decorated a little bit. I was planning to use it to like journal, do some extra journaling, also just to have like a to-do list if I needed that. But really, I want this to be journaling space. If there's a to-do that comes from anything that's on here, then that would actually go in my actual planner, right? So this is more journaling, not meant to be not meant to be like task oriented. These are all things to do, but these would also all end up on my catch-all, right? So I did that. I love being able to flip them upside down like that, just because it's so nice to see it like that. I was actually going to use this You're Beautiful, but I like this one that says appreciate you. So I'm going to, let's see, I'm going to stick that like maybe like right here. All right, and then this one says Soul Sisters, right? Again, this is a family planner, so I think it might work for, you know, just discussing like rules or something like that. All right, and then I'm gonna add a couple more boxes right here for staying focused on homework. I'm gonna put a little note right here. Sophia will end school here, so definitely we want to check her report card to make sure that she was able to stay focused and to finish out the school year strong. Right, and then I'm going to add another one right here, walk around the neighborhood, just because I feel like this one's a big one. I don't know why I did that. That's not one of the weeks, so let's put it over here. Actually, no, I feel like, all right, so I'm going to add it up here, actually. Hopefully we'll be able to come back from Go Wild and plan one right here, but definitely we can journal around it everywhere else. All right, and now just to clarify, I've written out these goals. I put them in week 1. That does not mean that I have to finish it in week 1 and then in week 2 move to a different goal. These goals are for the entire month, so I can, just like I mentioned with family, it could be literally the same goal for all 5 weeks. But because I've written it in week 1, I really just want to use the rest of the time to like maybe be more specific, like what is the example of how we engaged in screen-free time together as a family, right? So in week 2 we might have a game night. In week 3 we might decide to go out to dinner with no phones, whatever. Okay, and so it's just going to be more specific examples. The ultimate goal though is to have screen-free time for the entire month. Same thing here with play dates. It's not meant to be a weekly goal. It's meant to be a goal for the entire month. So I personally am okay with just having 1 play date. Sophia, I'm sure, could have 4 or 5 play dates and she would be happy with that. But if we're able to at least get 1 on the calendar for the month of May, I'm happy with that. Same thing here with decluttering. This is going to be a goal, I think, for the entire summer because my planner closet is a very big mess right now. But making progress every single week, you know, just being able to see it and make progress towards it, that's the goal here. Staying focused on homework, just making sure that she's earning good grades until the end of the school year. Again, that would be the same goal. I would just use week 2, 3, 4 to journal about it. Here I would probably just put a note what her grades were, you know, so just journaling about it, all right, and all the way down. So that's how I'm setting it up. Definitely there were, I'm sure, other ways that I could have done this. As I'm doing this for the first time, I absolutely welcome any feedback that you have about it. You know, to me, it just makes sense to use the same goal for the entire month with some adaptation. I'll change the language, but it's essentially the same goal for all 7 categories. It stays the same goal for the entire month. I just find that that's, to me, a little bit easier than trying to have a monthly goal, then bringing it down to a weekly goal, then bringing it down to a daily goal. I just have a lot going on, and so keeping it to 7 goals that will stay the same for the entire month is just easier for me and for our family. So again, I welcome any comments, any feedback that you have about the setup. It's fairly basic, as you can see, but you know, at least I was able to get the 7 goals, and we're gonna start. So that is what we're gonna be doing, and I'm excited about it. I'm glad to be able to get this video done, so now we can move into week 2 and just get started strong with like implementing these goals. And I'll try to be a little bit more ahead of the game in upcoming months if this continues to work well for us. So that way in June, July, and moving forward, it's a little bit it's something we've already discussed and we've already set the goals for the month. So I'm excited. So again, all comments welcome. Please do leave them. Ask any questions that you might have about the way that I'm doing my goal planning. I'm excited to get started. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please do give it a thumbs up. If you haven't done so already, subscribe to my channel, and until the next video, bye guys.